Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, those who are watching us online. I want to welcome you to our Monday, September 22nd, 2025 Policy Committee meeting. We do have a couple of policies before us tonight that we're going to discuss. So without further ado, I will call this committee meeting to order, and we will jump right in and get started. Committee members, item 1.02 is model policy BEA, live streaming of board meetings. And this is something that is a mandate from our state. So I will turn this over to Attorney Drain. Let me say first who all we have with us. Attorney Jasmine Drain is with us virtually. And we have all three committee members here, Mr. Nixon and Mr. Cunningham. Superintendent Williams is here, Ms. Linda Hyman is here, Dr. Cordelia Jenkins is with us, and we also have just in the audience Chairperson Strobel of our school board. So that's who we have in attendance. Okay, Attorney Drain, I will turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. The first policy that the committee needs to consider is based on a change that was made in South Carolina law. The legislatures took action to amend Chapter 59 or Section 59 by adding 59 1985. And what that does is basically it added a section in the law to require all school board meetings, and that includes, as you'll see in the policy, regular work session, specially called meetings, and the like, as we further identified in the policy. They have to be open to the public and live streamed. There's exemptions, obviously, for executive session, and posted within 2 days. And the law also requires districts to incorporate in their policies what to do if you're unable to live stream. You have the requirement to post a video, audio, or meeting as soon as possible, but no later than 7 days after the meeting. That is what the law requires. You'll see the policy has some more restrictive language, and I'll explain why. So that's really, the gist of this policy and the importance of adopting it first reading. The requirement was for boards to adopt the state board model policy or something that meets that or exceeds it. Really, as soon as possible. I think ideally first reading in August. I know we're in September right now, and so again, there's some urgency, if you will, to kind of work to get a first reading proposed by the next board meeting. But this is kind of what the district is proposing, and I just want to clarify, just to minimize any confusion. I think what may have been circulated to the board was the model policy that the South Carolina School Boards Association had created, and that was in all districts. The State Board of Education also created a model policy, and so basically what our firm is recommending, I think it's fine if we use what the State Board is proposing, because that is who's going to be reviewing this and approving it. So it does make sense that they have a model. That model that's coming from the State Board, because that will certainly meet their expectations if they're the ones that propose the policy. So that's what you have. So what I have sent subsequently is the State Board's version, that model policy, for the policy committee to consider and to discuss.
It's in your thing.
We are, give us just a second, Attorney Drain, we are flipping through. Ms. Hyman says we have that one.
So, because you might know that initially that you have to put the School Boards Association policy, model policy, and that'll be in the footer. South Carolina School Boards Association. They have a model policy, and then the State Board has a model policy as well.
Right.
So just to make sure that everyone has the correct policy and is looking at the correct one, the School Board Association policy at the top, it says streaming of board meetings, and it says code BEA, issued model/25. That's the School Board Association's model policy. But what our legal counsel is telling us is that the state board has a policy as well. And if you look in your folder, that one has at the top, it says draft. That is the one that our legal counsel is recommending that we adopt, because that comes straight from the State Board of Education. And I just wanted to just highlight a few things in the policy so that you would just be aware. But under applicability, it says number 1, Roman numeral 1, applicability A. Basically, it tells you under the Freedom of Information Act that the meetings that they're referring to that need to be live streamed are, but not limited to, regular school board meetings, special called school board meetings, committee and/or subcommittee meetings, board workshops, budget workshops, and/or hearings, and/or public hearings. So all of those meetings need to be live streamed. And our district, I think, has been in a good position because we have been live streaming most of our meetings. I think the only ones we have not are like the budget work sessions and capital projects work sessions. We have not live streamed those, but because of this policy, we will need to begin doing that. Also, as Attorney Drain said, under policy implementation, you'll see B, it says subsequently, all live stream meetings must be posted on applicable school district websites within no more than 2 business days of the meeting. So she explained that the law actually says 7 days, but the state board wanted it sooner than that. So the state's policy says 2 days. However, we will have up to 7 because it won't be against the law if we don't post it for 4 days because the policy, the law says 7 days. Right? Is that correct?
Just make a point of clarification, just to clarify what the distinction is, and I'm ready to get misunderstanding, but for the policy implementation, it mentions under B that all live stream meetings must be posted on applicable school district websites within no more than 2 business days of the meeting. That is taken from the state board's model policy, where the differentiation is, if you go to the beginning of the policy, and this is what our firm is proposing to add, because it comes straight from the law, is, you'll see in that, the second paragraph, it says that the board cannot provide live stream access, despite making reasonable efforts to restore it. It must be made clear, you must make clear audio or video recording of the meeting in its entirety available on your website as soon as practical, and in no more than 7 days after the meeting. So what this does is the requirement is it's 2 days. That is when everything has to be posted. But if you run into some type of situation where that cannot be done after you make reasonable efforts to provide access, really under state law, it would give you 7 days. So it's not just
Right.
that we have 7 days,
Okay.
there's no issue. Just if there's a problem that we run into after 2 days, and for whatever reason, the district has taken all measures to make it available, this would make it clear audio and video recording the meeting in its entirety on the website, and that would allow you those 7 days. But again, that's only in a situation where you can't provide live stream access, which hopefully would not be the case, but we just feel it's necessary in case you do have that come up, that you have that language in there that's directly taken from state law that would protect the district if there is, some unforeseeable circumstance where you're not able to get it posted, within the 2 days, if that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, thank you for the clarity, Attorney Drain.
A quick question, Attorney Drain. So if we do live feed, if we live stream, then we don't have to post it later on the district's website?
You do.
We still have to post?
Yeah, it should
All right. Mr. Nixon, Mr. Cunningham, anything else in relation to the live streaming of board meetings? I do just want to say, and this is probably more a technology thing more than anything. I just know whenever I was here in the district and we started live streaming, we started live streaming our meetings on an old Amazon Kindle Fire tablet. And now we have all of this fancy technology, but we have to make sure that the only way voices can be heard on the live stream is if they speak into a microphone that goes through the sound system. So I know a lot of times, even at like our policy committee meetings, we will have people just from the general public chime in. We have to make sure that all voices are going through microphones so it can be heard in the live stream. So that's just something that on our side, we just have to do a better job of making sure that way everybody can be heard. Even in our regular board meetings, sometimes our district leaders or whatever sitting at a table may speak to something, but if it's not mic'd, then the general public's not going to be able to hear that. So we just need to make note of that and make sure that we have appropriate mics for everybody who's speaking. Superintendent Williams, anything else on that?
Chair Irwin, I think that's it. I think Attorney Drain was able to clarify some things about the 2 days and 7 days, so thank you for that. And I think everything else is pretty much cut and dry. You know, this policy does not apply to lawful executive sessions. Just wanted to point that out. And then there's another section on the second page, Section 4, that talks about non-compliance. So we just want to make sure that we're in compliance so we can avoid any applicable fees or violation. So we just want to make sure we're in compliance.
And I think the big thing for us, because we've been live streaming for so long, the biggest thing that we'll have to look out is we have had situations where we've lost the stream mid-meeting. Sometimes you can recover it and sometimes you can't. And we just have to make sure that we're always recording. And that way, if we lose the stream, then we can post that recording as quickly as we can. So, all right. Anybody else, any questions or comments about that? Yes, ma'am.
So just in terms of this policy committee is considering this and thinking about what it would like to present to the board for first reading, you can always, take your existing policy, that this district does have a board meeting policy. So some districts are just adding this language to an existing policy. That's one option. The other option is to just adopt a new policy. And so the committee can look at, as I mentioned, the state board model, because under the law directs the state board to develop a policy, and that is what got disseminated to all the districts. So if your policy is in line with that, that's going to meet their expectations for when they're approving it. The school board also sent a model. You might see some language in that you might want to add. So you can certainly do that because the policy can exceed the state board's requirements, but that is at least the base. The state boards, we know that this is something that they have adopted, so they can improve it. But you can certainly, if there's things that need to be added, you can certainly consider and discuss that. But so I just wanted to make sure you all were clear on as you deliberate and decide what you're going to move forward, the various options that are available to you.
And policy committee, absolutely up to, your input, but I mean, the state board policy, the one that has draft at the top of it, seems to be a little less wordy than the state school board. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think that one would be the one that we should go with unless you guys have other input.
I agree.
Okay. So then and as far as melding it into our existing board meeting policy, in my opinion, we would be smarter to adopt this separate policy. That way we don't have to, if we have to make changes in the future, we don't have to do the whole thing. We can just address this one.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. So if you go with the state board's model policy, with the addition, as I mentioned, those first two paragraphs, those are taken from the law.
All right, anybody else, anything?
Now I was going to say, so then shall we go ahead and move that we adopt this draft for the first reading?
Yeah, so we will present it, we will have it on the agenda for our next board meeting, and it'll be presented for our first reading, and then we will take that to the whole board. Yep. All right, moving right along, item 1.03 is policy GCLE and the administrative rule that accompanies that on unencumbered time. Attorney Drain, I'm going to come to you first, and then we'll go to Superintendent Williams.
Okay, just briefly, this is related to a proviso that was recently passed. And so before, if you remember, this was years ago, the law was enacted where it required all districts to offer teachers 30 minutes of unencumbered time. With this change, this budget proviso does now is it requires districts to extend that to school nurses. And so, what's being proposed, based on the current policy we already have, is those out of requirements in terms of unencumbered time. You need to make sure that school nurses are now included, because before it was only teachers, now it's being expanded to include school nurses. And you'll see those changes reflected. The School Boards Association has prepared model policies that you can consider. But the district already had a policy on unencumbered time, so it might make sense for this one just to go in and make those minor changes to add school nurse where appropriate.
Okay. Superintendent Williams?
Yes, Attorney Drain pretty much explained it very well. It's just adding school nurses to this. And if you look at that bottom line that's in red that says, in the event of a medical emergency, a school nurse's unencumbered time may be withheld or reduced. As we were navigating with legal counsel, they explained that sometimes there are emergencies that may take a school nurse away from her unencumbered time. If there's an emergency on the playground or emergency somewhere in the building and she's on her unencumbered time, that this statement just protects the principal if he or she has to take that unencumbered time away from the nurse because of unforeseen circumstances. And I think the rest is self-explanatory.
Okay. Before I turn it over to my esteemed committee members, I have two quick questions. One, why is this only for elementary school teachers? Why is this not for middle school and high school as well?
Well, I think it's the structure of elementary school, because normally elementary teachers, when they take their kids to lunch, they are always there supervising their kids.
Right.
Whereas at middle and high school, kids are not supervised as closely, especially at the high school level, they're not supervised in that manner. So that's why, because when elementary teachers take their lunch, they don't have unencumbered lunchtime. They have their lunch and they're with their kids.
Right.
Whereas at the secondary level, it's different.
So, and this is simply a question for clarification. At our middle school and our high school, those teachers, even if it's not a 30-minute period, they do get an extended unencumbered time?
Well, I think they get their 30 minutes. They get their unencumbered time of 30 minutes, whereas at our elementary schools, they do not.
Okay. So it's just kind of built into the framework.
Into the
for middle school
scheduling.
and high school.
That's correct.
Okay. My second question is this, and this is, maybe I'm reading too much into this, and I'm more than happy to hear from Attorney Drain or from you, Superintendent Williams. In our policy that we currently have that has the red revisions, it is the second to the last paragraph that starts with "a principal will not reduce." In the middle of that paragraph, it says, such circumstances could include but are not limited to an emergency drill or an insufficient number of staff and substitute teachers to maintain instruction in the school. We are very aware that we have attendance issues, not just in our districts, but in lots of districts around us.
Most definitely.
And that also goes to employees. I'm worried that based on the way that statement is written, and again, maybe I'm reading too much into it, that a principal has the flexibility to say, no, Mr. Nixon, you can't have your 30 minutes today because we don't have enough teachers here for coverage. And could that become a everyday or multiple day occurrence? That's my only concern with that.
Well, basically, I don't think that that would be an everyday occurrence, and this is saying,
Expectation would be that it should not be abused because, the teacher can certainly make a report if they feel that it's intentional. And if you're not able to justify and establish that, the administrator would face, action on their license. So I think that there's an incentive not to abuse this in any way and only limit or reduce the time in very rare circumstances, just because employees would have the right to make a report or a complaint, if you will, and if it's found that it wasn't justifiably reduced or limited, then that principal could face action against their certification. So there should be some incentive to not limit it, to not reduce or abuse that.
So we leave it because there's already a built-in mechanism for the teacher to have recourse if they feel like they're being unjustly, their time is being taken away.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so, that's why, and, on the flip side, I think what the thought is we want to make sure the districts are still able to operate as they need to, and have the supervision in place.
I'm just looking out for Mr. Nixon. Whenever he goes back in the classroom, I want to make sure he gets his unencumbered time.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing he said that too, because my mic's not working. But, yes, all teachers, going back to your question about the unencumbered time in the middle and high school, teachers have planning periods. And that's supposed to be their unencumbered time. And occasionally, if someone is late to school or whatever, the principal will ask the teacher to cover another teacher's class. But that does not happen every day because there would be a problem. And I was one of those people that would give them a problem if that would be the case. So that's why it's specifically for elementary school teachers. And yeah, as you said, the unencumbered time during lunchtime, teachers in elementary schools don't have that. And so, yeah, it's covering people, it is.
yes. And if you look at that second bullet too, it says, if there's an extreme or unavoidable circumstance. So, it has to really be an extreme circumstance. It has to be a staff shortage. Maybe there's not enough coverage for that day. There are too many substitutes in the building, those kinds of things. But as Attorney Drain says, a teacher does have recourse if they feel that, this is not fair to them, if their time is being taken too much. Yeah.
And additionally, thank you, I was going to say too, as far as the nurse goes, that I was concerned at first about them having that unencumbered time, but since it does specifically say here that in the event of a medical emergency, they would be able to call them out. So that's fine. I didn't want them to, sit back and cross their legs and smoke a cigarette saying, I'm on my time, the child went to sleep.
I think Mr. Nixon's seen some things, I think.
For 8 years, trust me. Trust me.
I will draw your attention to, there is a sentence added that says if you have a medical emergency, school nurses and encumbered time may be withheld or reduced. That is not taken from the statute, and that is not taken from the proviso. That is something that we have, recommended we might consider adding because we know that, emergencies happen, medical emergencies happen, on school grounds all the time, and
No, I do believe that that sentence is necessary because there will come a time. So I'm good
I
with that.
agree. I agree.
Attorney Drain, anything else on this particular policy?
No, that's it. I mean, the statute requires that once the school board, once the board, adopts this, then you have to submit this, or, any revisions. So in this case, once you pass this policy initially, it has to go before the state board for approval within 30 days. And it also requires you making revisions to the policy. Those also have to be submitted. So that's another step in this process too. Is once you do get your policy in place, there will have to be sent to the state board or the Department of Education within 30 days.
Okay. Superintendent Williams, anything else on this one?
I think we've covered it all.
And Attorney Drain, can I just assume that the changes for the administrative rule are basically the same, just updating that language, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Nixon, Mr. Cunningham, any other comments or questions concerning policy GCLE unencumbered time? All right. All right, and then we have item 1.04, and I am going to let Superintendent Williams speak on this particular item.
Thank you, Chair Irwin. Basically, this policy, Policy KF, Community Use of School Facilities, is basically a new policy that the administration has drafted. And after speaking with legal counsel, they would like for us to continue working on it and revising it and having more discussion about this before we discuss it as a group, because there are some things that we need to iron out a little more. So I would ask that the policy committee would allow the administration to continue to work with our legal counsel towards finalizing this policy.
This is a very big revision or change to this, so I think that is only fair to honor Superintendent Williams and the administration's request, unless our policy committee members have any questions or concerns about that. We will hold off on policy KF until a later time where we can, as Superintendent Williams said, just make things a little bit tighter and iron out some things with legal first, and then we will present that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cunningham?
Do we need to put that in a motion? Maybe that.
No, sir. So we actually don't make motion or votes at the policy committee, so we're good. As long as we're all kind of in agreement with that, we're good. Superintendent Williams, is there anything else for our attention tonight?
That is it for tonight. I want to thank the policy committee for being here and going through these policies, and I'm looking forward to presenting them for first reading.
Absolutely.
At our next meeting, and I know that there are some other policies that we have for your attention as well, and we will be getting those policies to you, Chair Irwin, as soon as we can.
And if we could, Superintendent Williams, the state board policy that we said that we're going to go with for live streaming and this markup with the suggested revisions, if we could go ahead and get those sent out to all of the other board members, just so they have time to look through them before we ask for first reading. That way, maybe we can just kind of sail through first reading without any issues if we can get those questions answered ahead of time.
We certainly can do that.
Okay.
And before we leave, just wanted to ask the committee if we can go ahead and set the next meeting date so that we know the time frame that we have to get all of this done and to meet back again. So if we could look at our calendars, I think that would be great if we can come to a consensus tonight as to when our next meeting will be. And this is the,
When are our October regularly scheduled meetings? 14th and 21st? Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I hear.
No, they not that close to leaving the next day.
Oh, and leaving the next day. Okay, so we're good on those. So policy committee members, let's start with this question. Would you like to do before one of our regularly scheduled meetings on the same day? Or would you prefer to let's do maybe the Monday before the Tuesday meetings? What works best for you guys?
Either one works fine for me.
See, the 14th and the 21st?
Yes, sir. Those are our, I think 14th is our committee of the whole, and the 21st, so that one will be at 5 o'clock, and then the 21st is our regularly scheduled board meeting, which will be at 6.
And if I could interject, Chair Irwin, my suggestion would be that we have our policy committee meeting on a dedicated day, that we don't have a meeting, just to give us more time and we can really discuss it and not have to rush to go to the meeting. So
I am looking at my
Yeah.
calendar, Superintendent Williams. It says October the 13th is Columbus Day. Is that a holiday that we observe in the school district?
No, we're not off
No,
that day.
so we'll be
We'll be
in
in
session
school,
on that
yes. Mm-hmm.
day. Policy committee members, if we do it on the 13th, that would give us an opportunity to get whatever we discuss on the agenda for the 21st regularly scheduled board meeting. Are you guys good with that, or?
What day is risk of business in October?
October 8th through the 10th.
So that would be the week before? Mm-hmm. So the 13th at 5 o'clock, is that doable?
13th at 5 o'clock is fine.
Mr. Cunningham? Superintendent Williams, for you and your staff, is that inappropriate?
That will work. Yes, that
Okay.
will work.
All right. So we will go ahead and set that next policy committee meeting for Monday, October the 13th at 5 o'clock. That'll be great. Up. Did we run into a roadblock?
Well, we have open house at our middle school that day, but
At what time?
it's at 5 as well. But, I mean, we can still have the meeting, and then we can scoot over to those of us who are going can scoot over to the middle school afterwards. So the
Would it-
13th will work.
Would it be better if we tried to do 4 o'clock? I don't know if our committee members can do that.
I can do 4 o'clock, and it would be good for me, but I don't know about the committee members.
No, it is better than for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be good, because I would like to support our schools as they are having their open houses. So 4 o'clock would work for me as well.
Ms. Jasmine, I don't know if we would have you or Ms. Hannah or whoever, but do we think on the 13th at 4 o'clock would be doable for one of you to join us? Okay. All right. All right. So that is set and done. Monday, October the 13th at 4 o'clock. Anything else, Superintendent Williams?
I think that's it, Chair Irwin. I don't
Mr.
think
Nixon,
there's
Mr.
anything
Cunningham,
else.
anything else?
I'm good.
I appreciate you guys making time to be here today. Superintendent Williams, for you and your staff, and Attorney Drain for helping us in this. We will consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you.